Great. Okay. Keep pausing because people are joining late. So, right. Okay. So this is kind of what we'll be discussing in the meeting. There'll be introduction, staff, how the transition is going to go, our management agreement, our owner portal, how we market. I'm going to touch on some reviews and then open the floor up to questions. So I'll just give you the heads up. I'm doing this on my own, so if I see questions popping up or hands being raised, I will get to you as best I can, and hopefully we won't leave any stones unturned. So, who are we? So you guys got a letter the other day talking about how we're going to be transitioning from. You're going to be transitioning from Argus and Real Manage to Gulf Coast, and like I understand that no one likes change, even if the change is for the better. It's still you're going into that unknown, and there's no certainty, and there's no, in your minds, there's no guarantees that we're going to be any better or than the incumbent company. So I understand having something forced upon you is never a good thing, and I hope you give us the kind of the moral opportunity to prove you guys that the move is a good move, and the community as a whole will be better. And today's meeting is specifically focusing on the rental side of the business. The community itself, there's somewhere, we're led to believe, somewhere between kind of 60 and 70 rental units within a community of 100. So the rental piece is a super important part of this community, and it's one that we want to get right, and we want to deliver a great service to you guys. So who are Gulf Coast? So I started the business 20 years ago. I had one property. I lived in the UK. I was managing it from afar because I couldn't find a property management company here that I was satisfied with. And long story short, I embarked on a new life in Florida, and from there the Gulf Coast Property Management was born, and we manage vacation rentals, we manage annual rentals, association management. We operate in 4 counties. But at the very core of what we do is we are managing properties on behalf of owners, and we are 100% focused on it. And we like to think, or our place in this environment is, we're not a mom and pop operation. We're systemized. We've got great processes, but we're not some huge company that's faceless and without the human touch. So we like to think we lie somewhere in the middle. So we still know you by name. Your account manager will know you by name. I'm accessible. My leadership team are accessible. We fit in that, and we think that gives our owners kind of the best of both worlds. So that's ultimately who we are as a company. So these are where we're located. We've got a couple of offices in Manatee County, a couple of offices in Sarasota County, soon to be 3 because of the Gulf and Bay project where we'll be on site, Charlotte County and Lee County. To give you a little bit of insight into me and how I know that the world works in strange ways. Last year we bought as part of our development into the south, we bought a vacation rental company on Sanibel Island, and we bought that in June, and we paid a pretty sum for it to the owner who had, you know, owned that business for 20 years. So we purchased that business thinking, you know, this is a great opportunity for us. And then 3 months later, Hurricane Ian hit Sanibel Island at full force and wiped that kind of business out. So we've been working over the last year to get those properties back on, you know, on track. We're a company not without the challenges. We've gone through certain things, and I think we come out of the other end in a better place. We learned a lot from, you know, what happened down in Sanibel, and it's things that we've incorporated into our business on a day-to-day basis. I personally live in Lakewood Ranch with my wife and 3 kids. We're very invested in the community, and we are not looking at being acquired. I love my business.
How can I help you?
We're growing, and we're here for the long haul, and we want to be partners with you and the community for, you know, the long haul. So if we do our job for you, hopefully that relationship will be there for a very long time. So the transition. I know many of you have questions about how the existing reservations, how are we going to manage the transition with Argus. And I've been discussing with Argus over the last few days, Les Nichols at Argus, discussing with them about how that's going to happen. And the most likely, and we haven't nailed it down completely yet, but one of the challenges with changing vacation rental management companies is the bookings that are in advance. There's rarely a cutoff date where one company ends their services and a new one starts. There's always some form of overlap, just because of the advanced booking nature of vacation rentals. So what typically happens in these situations is the incoming management company inherits all of the bookings. So all of the bookings would come to Gulf Coast, and the reason we do that is there are gaps in the calendars. I haven't seen all of the calendars. I haven't seen but I'm aware that between now and next summer, when perhaps the furthest out reservations are, there are gaps in those calendars. So unless the incoming management takes over, there'll be a situation where guests will be unsure of who the management company is. And one thing I know from owning a business is that if more than one person is responsible or accountable for something, then nobody is, and things are going to fall between the cracks. So the way it's typically these situations are managed are they're managed so that the incoming management company takes over, and then there is a revenue split. So the Argus will still get usually 50%. They'll usually get 50% of their management fees. They're not incurring any operational costs. They're just being made whole, if you like. Well, not whole. They're receiving some compensation for securing the bookings, and then we incur the operational costs, and the 50% comes to us as to pay those operational costs. First and foremost for us is it's super important that the guests don't experience deterioration in service. When someone leaves and a management company is not servicing, they will cut corners. They will They won't be answering the phone. They just will kind of exit, and the service to the guest will deteriorate, and that will not do the homeowners any good. It won't do the reputation of the community any good. It won't do any good for us as a company. So we will the plan is that we inherit the bookings, and then start plugging the gaps between the bookings. I'm getting some a message that there's some feedback or some background noise. So if everyone could kind of mute themselves, if they could, see if I can do that. Yeah, there you go. Just trying to eliminate as much noise as I can. So that's how the transition is going to happen. And now I know there's going to be questions. So if we just hold questions to the end, I'll definitely answer as many questions as I can. But that's how we intend the transition to go. We're waiting for, so Argus are aware of that. They understand that's our plan. I've suggested that although their contract is up on 12/31, we take over kind of 11/1. So that'll give us time to acclimate, inherit all the bookings, import all the bookings, make sure the money's transferred correctly, all before seasons really starts in earnest. The last thing I want to do for guests, for owners and my staff is to start this process on the 1st of January. It would just be a horrendous experience, I think, for everyone, knowing what happens on the 1st of January in Florida. So that's the plan. Go ahead. So from a staff point of view, it's been, where's that go? Sorry. From a staffing point of view, it's been communicated to us, by the board, by conversations that we've had with individual owners, that you're super happy with the actual on-premise staff. The maintenance guys are good. Carla's good. So what we're doing is we are speaking to Don, Adam, and Carla this week to try and get them on board with us. Now, one of the complications with this is at the moment they're employees of Argus. A lot of this depends on how fair Argus are. None of the staff have a job description. So when we're looking at, and this is going back to kind of how we operate, when we hire people, there's a job description and there's a scope of work and what people's responsibilities are. None of that exists at the moment. We've asked, the board have asked for it from Argus, but it never been presented. So what we're trying to do, and we haven't got to it yet because we're meeting with these guys next week, getting a grasp on what they do. So once we've got a grasp on what they do, then we can get them signed up, and the intention is for them to become kind of Gulf Coast employees as of 11/1, when the association management contract starts. So believe me, continuity is super important to us. We know it's important to you, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that the institutional knowledge that these three have carries across. And it's our intention to keep these people on, because we know it's going to make you guys more comfortable. In terms of what we bring to the table staff-wise, you're going to have an on-site manager. It will be Carla will be your on-site manager, all things going well. But the vacation rental management has moved on from 1990. We're in a different space now, and we all know how customer expectations have increased over the years, and having someone on site kind of Monday to Friday or Tuesday to Saturday, that's great. But if everything went wrong, if every question came between 9 and 5 in those days, the world would be a great place. But it doesn't. And it comes at 9 o'clock at night, or it comes kind of on a Sunday at noon. And one thing I've learned is having one person kind of on call and being the only point of contact for a community, for an account, is a surefire way to burn that person out. So what we've done, and we've invested heavily in resources over the last year to 2 years, is we have live agents. And when I talk about live agents, they answer the phone 7 days a week from 9 o'clock till 10 p.m. They are answering email inquiries, they're answering reservations. If there's guests in the house and they haven't got hold of the on-site rental agent, they're answering those questions. If they can't answer those questions, they're making sure the issues get addressed. They are there and they are answering the phone, and they're measured. I mean, we have what we call KPIs. They're in place so that the phone's being answered. No one wants to leave voicemails. No one wants to have a phone ringing for 10 minutes and hope that someone picks up. This phone is being answered, and I challenge you to call us. You'll get an answer on the phone from my staff. In addition, we have a property services team that works 7 days a week, and they're responsible for maintenance. They're responsible, and what I'm talking about is, when I talk about maintenance, I'm not talking about association maintenance. I'm talking about the things that go on inside units. So we have in-house maintenance. We work with the bank of vendors. We work with owners' vendors, and we have inspectors that are working 7 days a week, and they're able to answer in the field. If our guest services team, if our contact center can't get someone online because their Wi-Fi isn't working, we have guest service agents who can go across and fix that person's, get them on the right channel on the TV, get them off, use the source button and get them onto the right channel, or fix their Wi-Fi, or do whatever they need to do. Because again, we're very cognitive of what people's expectations are. These aren't hotels. We understand these aren't hotels. These are houses, but that doesn't curb people's appetite for great customer service. And people are less and less willing to accept, we'll see you Monday. If they're there for a week and they arrive on a Saturday, they want that thing resolved on a Saturday. They don't want to wait until Monday when the next person's at work. So that all feeds into increasing the appeal of staying in one of our properties and Gulf Bay. In addition to that, we have a vacation rental sales team. So it wouldn't be Carla taking bookings and sifting through reservations and answering VRBO and Airbnb and answering our own our inquiries coming from our own website. We have a full vacation rentals team that also works 7 days a week, answering inquiries, taking bookings. We have revenue management, and I'll go onto that. I'll go onto that in a second. But we have a dedicated employee who's looking at rates every single day. We use data tools to do that, and the software that we use, but he heads that up, and he's pulling the levers on the revenue. And then, of course, we've got full service accounting that puts all this together. So what you're getting in with Gulf Coast on the rental side is a true partner, and someone who I believe is going to elevate your experience as rental owners within the community. I think you will see a step up in terms of and service that you guys are receiving. So we've had a number of questions coming from our management agreement, and it's different to yours. I mean, I've had a copy of yours, and it's pretty old school in terms of, you know, the approach. This is ours. I'm going to see if I can click just quickly on this. The share. Give me a second. Can everyone see this? If someone can just give me a thumbs up to see they're seeing our kind of, yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, we can see it.
So this is our kind of vacation rental, and we were being asked, what does it include? What do our plans include? And I encourage you all to go onto our website, have a look at our vacation plans. We've got videos of what each section kind of covers, but you know, it's A to Z of property management. We cover everything. I understand that I think you guys are on, at the moment, you're on 18%. We provide professional photographs. We cover guest damage insurance. We do pre and post inspections, and you actually get copies of these inspections. So these are hard copies that are emailed to you. They'll also be on your portal, which I'll go into in a second, but you'll get eyes on your property. When a guest leave, there'll be an inspection will take place, and you'll be able to see how that property was left. And that happens after every single clean. And it's not the cleaning staff that are doing that, because I believe that you should be inspecting the inspectors. So the cleaning staff will go in, and then our guest services team will go in and perform. They'll take photographs, they'll make comments on your property. So you'll get a copy of all of that. We collect all the state taxes, we disperse all of that. Housekeeping, the way we manage our properties is the guests actually pay the clean. It's commonplace in our industry, and I was somewhat surprised when I looked at your agreement with Argus, and you guys are paying the cleaning. It's the first I've heard of it. I've been doing this now for 20 years. In every other, all of the platforms, all the other management companies, it's actually the guests that pay for the cleaning. We do the enhanced listing service, which is Airbnb, VRBO, and I'll go on to that again in a second. We coordinate with vendors for maintenance. If you have warranties in place in the property, of course, we work with the warranty companies to do that. If the property is empty, if there's no bookings in the property at all, you'll benefit from a bi-weekly home watch inspection. So at least that way you're going, people are going into the property and making sure there's no leaks. We replace air filters and light bulbs. That's all included in our management fee. So you're not going to be getting you're not going to be getting your month-end statement with being nickel and dimed for small items like batteries. It does cost money to replace them. It does, sending labor out there to do that does cost money, but we've included it in our management. So very often when we talk to new owners, people will look at management agreements and they'll say, well, I'm at 15%, or this company's at 18%, another company's at 25%. And essentially they're just numbers. And it's really what those numbers contain and what value that they offer the client. And after, again, years of doing this and listening to feedback from our existing clients, many of which we've worked with for 15 to 20 years, they've come back, and this arrangement has worked really well. But I do understand that it's a departure from what you've been doing previously. I do also kind of at this point, which I'll go on to the marketing side of things. The percentage that we're charging, it's a commission based. whereas we're sharing in, the pain and the success with you. So it's when there are companies at 15%, if there are, or 18% or 25%, it really depends on the revenue that's being brought in. And you could be paying 15% of 50,000, or you could be paying 20% on 80,000. And I know it's more about what we can deliver you in terms of revenue than what that actual percentage is. My account managers are focused on revenue and making sure that we meet revenue goals. And I'll explain kind of how we get there with the rest of the slides. So let's click through these. So this is really what we're talking about with Gulf Coast. We're on all of these platforms, and right now that Airbnb is blowing VRBO out of the water. It's I know that VRBO is very important, and because that's been communicated through to Beth and the conversation we've had with owners, but Airbnb, it's 3 times the revenue at the moment of VRBO. Airbnb has done a really, really good job of not cornering the market, but if you think about the conversations you have with your friends, they say, yeah, I'm traveling, he's staying in a hotel. No, I'm getting an Airbnb. And that's a crazy concept. They've taken the word Airbnb or the brand Airbnb and turned it into a noun, and they've done a really good job of it. So we're looking at all options. So we look at Booking.com, Homes to Go, Got to Go, Google. Every property that we manage also goes on the MLS. So we list the properties there, and then from the MLS it goes to Zillow and a bunch of other platforms. So with us, exposure is not going to be a problem. You'll see your property everywhere. I can guarantee that. I know you're with RNS at the moment, which is they're a local company, but this is our owner portal. So you would log in pretty much the same way that you log in at the moment with your existing software. But what you see when you get there is quite comprehensive. So you'll have the first page, the first tab, you would have kind of the existing future reservations. It has the amount, the dates that someone's staying, what you're going to receive. The calendar is going to be there. What you're also going to have is the past reservations. So you'll be able to look backwards. You'll be able to see statistics, and this is really interesting. You'll be able to see where the prices are, where the prices are currently set. You'll be able to go to the calendar and see what rates rates are there. If I take this off for a second, I visited the community last week, and on the front porch over the office, there was a card with the varying rates that have been published by Argus, and it's basically 2 seasons. So you've got May to November, and then or late November, and then kind of December through April with prices. And it's not my job to come on here and bash another company, but that's a very, very outdated way of managing vacation rentals. The way we manage vacation rentals, as I explained, we have a whole revenue management team that dive into the properties. And so when you go to your property portal, you won't just see a flat line of $200 a night between May and November, and 300 from December through through April. You're going to see peaks and troughs. We're going to be recognizing that there's a swim meet in town, and the accommodation is being used up. So by natural supply and demand, the rates are going to increase. Conversely, we're going to see things like if it's really quiet, if red tide's in town and there's nothing happening, or it's immediately after a hurricane, then rather than keep our prices high, we're going to be dropping our prices to encourage people come into the properties. Now, my revenue management team don't like it, but you have input into that. You can, we're not going to say, okay, let's let that property go for $50 a night. You can have a ceiling. You can have like a basement number on that rental. So if you think, look, it's just not worth it to me to rent my property for $125 or less, then you can put that in as that's, I don't want my property going for less than $125 or less. So it will never get booked for that. Now, your neighbor, they may have a different threshold, and they may say $100, and their property might get rented at $100 because we will have lowered it, because we'll have had that conversation with them about revenue management. But that's the kind of resources and approach that we take here. We're in the driving seat. We want to be your best representative, but these are your properties, and we understand that we work for you. So we don't want to do anything that's going to upset you, but we'll give you the hard cold facts. And sometimes those hard cold facts, they're not easy to hear, because no one really wants to talk about reduced revenue. They want to talk about increased revenue. But our goal is to increase your revenue year upon year. That's our goal. So next slide is, and these are the details. So on there, you'll see all your photos. As I said, all of our properties get professional photographs, thorough descriptions, and here you'll also see your OTA listing. So you'll see your VRBO listing, you'll see your Airbnb listing on this page. So rather than having to search Airbnb or VRBO, you'll be able to see it. One of the things that we talk about all the time with our owners, all owners want to see their properties on VRBO, and they go to VRBO all the time. And it's interesting, when we speak to VRBO, the VRBO are in it to make money. They charge 5% of every rental is what they charge. Airbnb charge the same. They also, both of those platforms also charge the guest. So it's our job when we have guests to encourage those guests. If they've booked through Airbnb in the first place, the next time they come, we're encouraging them to book directly with us. So we're throwing incentives to them. We're talking to them. They become our guests, not Airbnb or VRBO. But one thing we've learned with working with these platforms is the more people click, and we see owners a lot clicking on their VRBO link or Airbnb link, what that does, it actually drives your property down in the listings. These companies, all they want are properties that book. So if their algorithm sees someone clicking on their property but then not booking, they don't know it's the owner. They just think it's someone who's looking at the property. They decide not to book that property. So the algorithm says, well, let's push this one down and let's get another one above it. So I urge you, when it comes to your OTA listings, don't click on them, because it's really not doing you any good at all. Similarly, I'll go on to our approach with reviews and things in a second. So this is our marketing strategy. It really starts with the revenue management, and these are the kind of tools that we use. We use a a company that uses algorithms. It's called Wheelhouse, and that takes a property. It looks at all similar units in the area, and it then starts building out a pricing model. We can override that pricing model. We can put in whatever rates we want. We can put in ceilings. We can put in basements. We can block out dates. We can do all sorts of things with it. But this is one of the tools that my revenue management team uses. They also use something called AirDNA, and that's another pricing tool. And it's really interesting because when we use this tool, we can see every single listing and every single booking that was made. And I can't tell you how many times we've spoken to property owners who have said, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, and maybe some of you might have said it, my property is booking at $200 a night, or they've gone on a website and seen my neighbour's renting his property for $200 a night. And we can actually see what the property is renting for. And it might be being advertised for $200 a night, but it's not necessarily booking at $200 a night. If it's showing $200 a night, firstly, it means it hasn't been booked. But we can actually go one step further and see what that actually booking was. And I can't tell you, 99 times out of 100, it's never for what the person says they're renting their property for. It's always less. And when we show owners this, because we'll see unit A versus unit B, we'll say, well, this is what your neighbor got, and because it's there in front of us and we can see what the person actually paid. But we use these anecdotes just to kind of demonstrate the depth that we go into when it comes to setting rates. We want to get the best rates possible for our owners. I underline it. But I tell my staff, my sales staff, when they're talking to potential owners, I don't want inflated numbers. The easiest thing to do would just inflate numbers and just make them up, because that way you've got one person telling you you're going to get 50 grand a year, the other person you're going to get 60 grand a year. The natural instinct is to go with the company who's going to provide 60,000. What I've instilled in my staff is, let's just show the data. Like we want to get the most. We will always get the highest market rate. I promise our owners that we'll always get the highest market rate. We just don't make numbers up. It's honest, and with us, we are what we say what you're going to get, and that's what you'll get with us. I promise. And I know I'm flying through this, and you will have opportunity to answer the many questions I'm sure you have. This is our website. You will have your own. There'll be one for the community, but this is our website. And those of you who've been on VRBO, those of you who've been on Airbnb and those OTA sites, it's a replica of it. We don't reinvent the wheel. They've spent millions and millions and millions developing their kind of user experience. So we've replicated it, and it's super simple. People would have drop downs. They can see the properties. So your property will be on our website. It's an award-winning website. GC Vacation Rentals. But then in addition to that, you do have a community website, the Gulf and Bayside website. Unfortunately, that website, that domain, is owned by Argus, now RealManage. It was when that website and that domain was purchased years ago. People weren't necessarily thinking that would be valuable. People weren't thinking that the ownership of it would be an issue. So they own that now, and I'm talking to them regarding transferring that domain. It's going to be no good to them. They're not going to do anything with it. If they withhold that and withhold us having access to that, that's just spiteful on their part. because it's gonna have not have any value to them whatsoever. So I'm working with them. Part of our discussions is that they transfer that over to us. And the new agreement that we've got with the board is that will always be in your ownership. So further on down the line, if we ever kind of part ways as a company, there won't be this issue again. You will have ownership. You as an association will have ownership of that domain. So you will have not only will the properties be on our site, they'll also be on that site if I can wrestle it away from Argus. One of the things that we're very proud of is that we are one of the only companies in the region who are partners with, I think there's 3 companies that are partners with Marriott. And Marriott as a brand and a hotel brand, they see the threat of vacation rentals, short-term rentals. They've been taking that very seriously, because they see their market share dwindling as Airbnb, VRBO, other management companies are growing, and the growing popularity of staying in a house, not worrying about a hotel, the budget aspect of having your own kitchen, having more than one room, etc., etc. So Marriott have jumped on board with this and said, okay, how do we get into this space? And what they've done is they've created a platform called Homes and Villas. And you can go to Homes and Villas and you can see our properties on Marriott's website. And they're very choosy about who they bring on as their partners. The criteria for servicing Marriott properties is very high. It prompted our whole effort to improve our customer service, to launch a contact center, to have 7 days a week guest services available, because that's what the Marriott customer, that's what they want. So by joining forces with Gulf Coast, you guys, your board has given you opportunity to rent your properties out to Marriott, and it's just another avenue for exposure that we can bring to the table. And then this is what, when it comes to our website, this is what the property would look like. It would be advertised, big photo, calendars here. Underneath this is a description. Every property is reviewed. So when a guest leaves, we are really pushing guests for reviews. Going back to the online travel agencies, it's very VRBO, Airbnb, it's all about reviews for them, and that's what pushes you up. And I'll go on to kind of explaining more about that in a second. This is the MLS listing. So again, your property go on the MLS, and that just again opens up more avenues. And for those of you who are involved in search engine optimization, the more we can get these properties out there into the ether with consistent what they call slugs, but consistent content on as many platforms as we can, it'll allow us to dominate the space. And that's why we advertise on so many platforms, so that you can't miss us. If someone's looking at renting on Siesta Key, they're going to come across your property, and that's what we want. That's the goal. Okay. So we touched on reviews, and I think this is who we are as a company. And we started this company, and for the longest time we were super owner centric. Our job is, and I drilled it into my staff time and time again, is our job is the representing property owners. And to the point, I think, where we almost alienated the tenant or the guest, because we're so focused on delivering service to the owners of the properties, because you're the ones that pay, keep a roof over our heads. So we're very owner centric, but as we've evolved, we've realized that there are two parties in this. We're the buffer between the two parties, and if we're not delivering great customer service, people are very quick to jump on the social media bandwagon, leaving reviews, and we've worked really hard on our reviews, and these are our Google reviews. And I've pulled up. We've got 5 offices, but only 3 would fit on the slide, so you could see them. But that Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, Bradenton, and these are our vacation rental reviews. So these are guests who have stayed in our properties, and we're at 4.4, I'm just seeing that, yeah. Sorry, 4.4, 4.4, and 4.6, I think. If you go to the Ritz-Carlton now, if you go to the Ritz-Carlton Sarasota, they're at 4.1. You'll always get people where you don't meet their expectations, whether those expectations are realistic or not. You might not meet their expectations, and they'll leave the scathing review. We had a review last week where we got a 3-star review. The place was beautiful. It was a great view of the canal. Everything was great. The company was great, but it rained. And because it rained, they gave us a 3-star review. Now, an owner or a guest isn't going to be looking at that explanation. They're just going to be looking at the 3-star review. So there is a lot more to reviews than just what the stars say, believe me. And please, I urge you to take the time to learn more about my company. And these reviews, these are the property management. So we have the property management side, which is kind of servicing owners, and typically tenants kind of go towards this website. And then we have the other one, which is the vacation rentals. Let me tell you, keeping a 4-point-something review score, average review score in my world, it's amazing. If you hit someone's security deposit, that's a 1-star review. Even if they've dropped oil all over the carpet, and you need to ding them for their security deposit, they'll leave you a 1-star review. So you can be the best property manager in the world, and owners can love you, and many of ours do, but you're going to upset someone. It's almost 2 competing agendas, and we're in the middle of it. And again, for years we recognize that we represent our property owners, and to that point, the VRBO reviews are super important. This is kind of an example of how we've improved our reviews and our 5-star ratings over a period of time, recognizing how important it is. So every time a guest leaves, they're getting a call. And how was your stay? And because we're doing this, and we're doing it for Airbnb, we're doing it for VRBO, the rankings, the property rankings increase, because again, the algorithms are going to recognize those properties where the owners invested. If the property is moving up and down in price, if the reviews are up to date, if the photos are up to date, if the description get changed, all of these things point towards an owner or a management company who's invested, and then the review, the listing goes up in the algorithms. So it's super important that we're on this, and you can see that we've got 7,000 nights booked, 519 bookings, and we've got 4.1 average, which is increasing. So we're very in tune with what the modern traveler is looking for, and we think we're ahead of the curve compared to most of our competitors. Facebook, I put this on. Facebook is a community. Last October was a you guys had a post, and then before that it was 2021. We are updating our Facebook every single day because that's what people want to see. A lot of travelers will go to social media to see how engaged a company is, and if it'd be better not to have a Facebook page rather than have one that's a year out of date, because it just suggests that there's not really the management or not really the engagement going on. So all these things add up, and they contribute to whether or not we're a successful management company. So that's my that's kind of my dog and pony show. We're here to help. Some of the things haven't been ironed out yet. I hope they would have been by today, but I'm still waiting on some information to come back from Argus. But for now, I'll kind of open it up for the floor and see what people have to say. So let me see if I can get to these chats. Right, meeting chat. Okay. So going back, it started with could please. Yeah. Okay. There is some background noise. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We are looking at keeping the staff as best we can. Holly says currently the VRBO interface is through Argus. The VRBO calendar marries with the Argus calendar. What will be done to smoothly take over our VRBO accounts? Several of us have the annual VRBO renewing before you take over. How will that be handled? So our program does include the fee. I'm not sure how Argus are doing it. The subscription fee that went away about 5 years ago. VRBO now charges, and Airbnb are the same, charges 5%. There's more. They were purchased. VRBO were purchased by Expedia, the Expedia group, about 5 years ago, and when that happened, they took away the subscription. So up until now, Argus have been funding, it would seem, the VRBO bookings, because we've probably got the largest collection of properties on VRBO on the Gulf Coast, Florida. And if anyone could negotiate a deal with VRBO, it would definitely be us. And the only model that they do now is a subscription model where they charge 5% of every booking. So if Argus is saying that it's coming up for renewal, then it's, they may be taking the money, but then supporting it like themselves, they're absorbing the cost of it somehow in their, on their books, because you just can't pay for it. We used to be able to pay $500. We used to be the same. It used to be $500 per listing, and it didn't matter how many bookings there were. But that went away some time ago. But to your question, we have a rep. We have an enterprise rep with VRBO. We've done this before. There won't be a problem inheriting the bookings and the listings from VRBO. Now, we may want to rewrite those listings. We'll definitely be having new photographs of those listings. But the main thing is importing for us and you guys is importing the reviews, because these channels live and die by reviews. So, but my team is experienced in doing that. We'd be taking over those listings, and they'd go onto our platform, and they'll become our listings. So that's not that doesn't cause me any concern at all, because we do it frequently. Hopefully that answered your question. Thank you, Krista, for that. We are trying. We're trying to enhance the experience for everyone. So that's good. I appreciate it. since our bookings, so since our bookings contemplated different percentage fees, 13%, 18% if booked by Argos. When do your fees kick in, and what do you charge percentage if we bring you the rental? So the bookings that are on the books, they're going to be, that'll be inherited management fee. We're not going to be charging our 20% on that. They're 13% or 18%. Everyone's. I don't want to pull the rug from under anyone. That's what you're banking on. That's what we do. Moving forward, it would be kind of on our management agreement at 20%. So that's, and the second thing was if we bring you the rental. That's a discussion. Our management agreement is typically kind of exclusive. By that I mean if you have friends and family staying in your properties, yeah, and it's a trust thing. It's your property, and if you want to give your property up to someone, to your friends to stay there, we're not charging anything for that. If you're marketing the property, then it would be 20%, because we would be doing all the listing, we'd be doing the work on the rates, we'd be doing everything. So that's how we work with with owners, and it's a trust thing. Can we police it completely? Could there be someone down the road that says, I want your place in Florida, and they give you $1,000? Absolutely, they could do that. But we're a stand-up company, and we want to work with stand-up owners, and ultimately it's a trust thing. I know that we will deliver more revenue for property owners than any other company. I know that because we've been doing it, and I can say it with confidence. So I don't think we need, we don't want a nickel and dime, and we don't kind of want our partners, our property owners, kind of nickel and diming us either. Do you provide linens, toiletries, etc.? Does the owner provide that? So typically what happens, and maybe you guys can chip in with that. Typically, when it's off-site management, there is we use linens in the property, and we wash on the property when it's an off-site. When it comes on site, then there are other options. You can do linen service, you can do certain things. That's something that we will work with you. And there's one of the things I think that may be useful, and I might be speaking out of turn, and if Rod's on the call, he might kind of get annoyed at me for this. I think it would be useful, rather than, I think sometimes we're better as a team. The sum of our parts are greater, and all of that. I don't know if it's ever been tried, but did you guys ever have like a rental committee? So that complements the board, and it's not having the same powers of the board, but something perhaps that we could canvass owners. What are we doing well? What are we doing wrong? Where could we improve? What are people's thoughts on a linen service as opposed to individually? And then that way there's buy-in from the collective group of rental owners, rather than us trudging down one way and missing the mark. And that's something that I would entertain. And that's, I do have a habit of just talking, and that just came to me right now. So I'll have to think through it, but that might be something that we could kind of entertain in the future. Rod, did you want to? Rod, did you have your hand up?
There we go. That's better. Neighbors, you need to know.
Rod's got his hand up. See if I can.
You need to know, neighbors, that we negotiated a contract with Gulf Coast that does remit an override commission to the association.
I can't hear you if you are trying. Oh, you can hear me?
So every time you rent your property through Gulf Coast, your association gets revenue. Second thing you should know is that you have individual contracts with Argus. In order to do business with Gulf Coast, you're going to have to make a decision on those contracts, whether to keep them or terminate them. Thanks, Andy.
Okay, thanks, Rod. Hey, Rod, what did you think about the idea of like not anything to do with the board, but maybe a rental committee?
That person must be reading my notes. That's on the agenda for the annual meeting. I've already asked one of the neighbors if he would be on it, and he's agreed to it. So if any of you are willing to serve on a rental advisory committee, advisory to the board, send me your email and your information. Yes, we will form one. We did one actually, to give you a little quick history. There was one approved by the board about a dozen years ago, and it just disappeared. Nothing ever happened. So yes.
There's some upside for you as well. This is Jeff. Sorry. There's some upside there as well too, because we do have numerous owners that have not rented through Argus, so they've gone through other sources. Some of them may be on here, and of course, if we can show the value of this company, it behooves everybody, especially when we have on-site management. And that just was not really, didn't lend itself to that under our former structure, but I think there's some opportunities there. So I'm glad you brought that up, Andy.
Okay, great stuff. Great stuff. So let me give my place to people. Final situation. Let's go through these questions. Piggybacking on the Linian's questions, yes, we provide toiletries, etc. A starter pack with toilet rolls and soaps and dishwasher and laundry detergent, welcome packs, and quite high quality shampoos and body washes. That's all part of kind of what people get when they arrive, and we'll be able to share that with. You'll be able to see that. We'll have an example in the office as soon as we're in the office, so you guys can see that. Yes, the meeting is being recorded, so that we'll get that out to you guys afterwards. One question: is there an opportunity for the owners to not provide the garage in the rental, and other owners keep the garage for themselves with no access for the renters? If we can secure it on the face of it, I haven't got a real issue. I don't know where that would lead with like trash cans. I mean, I'm not super familiar with the community. I don't know if there's the opportunity to hide trash cans or. And then also it does. I will say, I know the sales team will say, no one really wants. People like putting their car in the garage, and if you've got a 2-bedroom unit with a garage versus a 2-bedroom unit without a garage, then there's going to be a difference. And some people are, but on the face of it, without having the advantage of all the knowledge, ultimately you're in control. We work for you. So we want to be as amenable to you guys as possible, because we know these, in many respects, these aren't just investments. These are second homes. So, these, we get it. We do. We've been doing it for a long time. Can we go over the check-in procedure? Still the unmanned hut, and also the key fob procedure. These are things so these are things we're working on. The entrance, the access to the properties. We do real checks on the guests coming, so they. Let's not forget that people pay a lot of money prior to arrival. So it's that's very often the biggest flag for people. It's we're not worrying about bounce checks. We're not worrying about things. People are paying 60 days in advance, the whole balance, running into tens and twenties of thousands of dollars. So we're happy with people that come into our properties. We don't have any issues there. We get their driving license. We get all of their information. We're a big proponent of electronic locks, and we encourage all owners to get electronic locks. Second, yeah, to get electronic locks, and that's, you know, when guests come, they get on their phones, they get a whole guest book on their phones with all the instructions about when trash days are, about the rules and regulations of the community, about the to-dos, about the Wi-Fi code. It's a really good user experience for the guest. And then also in the same thread, it's no management fee for owner reservations. Correct. If by owner reservations mean you guys come in, absolutely. Friend, you know, family, you guys come in. No, there's no management fees for those because it's your property. At the high level of management, will the new photos be included? Yes, professional photographs go into kind of all our properties. You've got to remember, people are thousands of miles away, and this is the only opportunity they have to look at your property. And I know of real estate agents who photograph $1 million properties, multi-million-dollar properties with their iPhones, and it blows my mind. So the photos are the only opportunity. It's the window into the person's house, and they're booking, they're getting excited. They don't want to see they don't want to see a poorly taken photo with bad lighting. They want your unit to be looking as good as possible. We want wires hidden. We want it decluttered. We want it to be, again, the best experience for a guest, because there is competition out there. So the situation with Argus, the question is, when do we anticipate it being finalized? I'm hoping that we will be able to begin rental work by the end of November. The end of October. That's what I've suggested to them. I don't think they want this account, and I know they're not going to be able to manage this account. So I've gone at it with the approach of, we are doing them a favor, but they're still going to get a share of the revenue. So it's a win-win for them, and we'll take what could be a perceived headache off their hands. As Rod said, it's super important that it'd be very easy for them, and I do urge caution. It'd be very easy for them, knowing that this is the agreement, for them to start booking your properties out at low numbers, because they can book these and they're not going to have to worry about servicing them. Anything they get on their books now, they're going to get a share of that revenue, but they're not going to be invested in the process. So my recommendation to everyone on the call is to terminate your agreement. And sign up with us in terms of the listings, and that way anything moving forward, anything from here moving forward, you don't want your property being rented out for $100 a night in December. You don't want that. I know you don't. But that's what they can do, because they're not going to have to carry the can on it. So I can't stress enough, it's the agreement that we have we are the rental management agreement for the association, and we will provide rental staff. But at the moment, Argus have the individual management contracts with you guys. It was set up a bit funky, but that's the way it is. But they have the individual management contracts with you guys, and the quicker that you can terminate those, the better. Now, the existing rentals exist. Don't be afraid of terminating that contract and thinking, where do my rentals go? They exist. They're going to be there. So you're not shooting yourself in the foot. You're just protecting yourself. The bookings will exist, and we will be inheriting those bookings. So another way, if you don't want to do that in this limbo area, is if you go in and block your calendars whilst you're kind of in this in this situation, go in as owners and block your calendars out so that that can't happen. And then once you're comfortable with us, and once we've got the management agreement side, then we can open those calendars back up. We can see which are the true bookings, and then we can start plugging the gaps. That's one way to do it. Or you can just terminate the agreement. Okay. One of the questions is, do we list on FloridaRentals.com? We have a listing there. Our management agreement is kind of exclusive. We entertained Florida Rentals for a while. The problem with Florida Rentals is their calendar does not sync with our software. All the others do, but theirs doesn't. And for what we paid Florida Rentals, it just wasn't a good return on investment. We found other platforms to be far more to generate far more leads. And then the other follow-up question to that is, when will we be taking new photos? We'll be taking new photos as soon as we get the management agreements. We can't do anything without the management agreements. So the sooner we come on board, the sooner you'll get the photos, and the sooner you'll be on our website as an owner. That way, you're probably going to get the early bird catches the worm, because the quicker you're on our platform, the quicker we'll be able to start advertising. And if you're the first one on our books, then that way you're going to be the first one getting rentals. So when we give our place for people to use, you'll still arrange for the keys to be available and the cleaning to be done. Correct. So if, again, your sister wanted to come down to Florida, we'll still service them. They're still going to, they'll still get the management service. If there's things to be done, like cleaning, we will still clean the property. But then, as I mentioned before, our guests pay for cleaning. It's part of the contract with the guest. So what would happen in this instance, if a family member came, then they would, the cleaning bill or the charge would be on your ledger as an owner, because we wouldn't be charging the person up front because it's your sister. So that cleaning fee would be a line item on your monthly statement. Is there a minimum amount of weeks or certain revenue threshold that you have to for order? Ordinarily, I'd say yes. When we look at it, so the question is there a minimum revenue threshold for us? Typically, there is, yes, but because it's Siesta Key and it's a year-round market, if you're going to be in the property for a period of time, there's still going to be opportunity throughout the year for us to generate revenue. So unless it's unless you're in there for 50 weeks, then we'll be able to manage your property. It really depends on what your revenue goals are, and we want to mentor Carla and give Carla kind of bring her under our wing. So she's your account manager, and you can have these conversations with Carla. We want to give Carla the tools to say, look, what are the revenue goals for these owners? Some owners might use the property for 5 months a year, and they're going to have a different revenue goal than someone who's purely investment driven. We want to get to know that so that we can meet your expectations as clients. The timing of remitting payments to owners. So it's the month after arrival. So if they arrive on the 1st of January, you'll be paid in the first week. You'll be paid for the booking the first week of February. So it's around the 5th or the 6th that we pay, and we pay by ACH. We pay directly into your bank account electronically. I don't know if Argus send checks. So I don't know how they do it at the moment, but we pay directly into your bank account. So if the bookings are the 1st of Jan, conversely, if the booking comes in on the 28th of January, you'll still get paid on the first week of February. So we don't wait a month to pay. It's just we wrap the month up with arrivals, and then we pay the following month, if that makes sense. So that's how I pay our owners. How do we cancel with Argus and sign up with Gulf Coast? In looking at your management agreement or the one version that I saw, there may be different versions floating around, but the one that I saw, an email will suffice. Just let them know that you're terminating the rental agreement. Email's a good record. From then on, you'll be fine. Go ahead, Rod.
It's in most of the contracts that we reviewed as a board, it was 30 days. And yes, an email, anything in writing, so an email would suffice.
Okay. Are we going to get, and one of the questions, are we going to get Carla help? Suggest Mary as a consultant. So I think Mary was a previous employee, correct, who left and went to another company. Once we dig in, when it comes to help, when someone says they're a property manager, and this is true for all companies, one version of being a property manager, or one company's interpretation of being a property manager, is completely different to another company's interpretation of being a property manager. So until I want to build out a scope with Carla. Carla will never be on her own because of the team that we have to be able to support her. She won't be inundated with guest calls because our contact center will be listening to the guest calls. Now, the guests will go to the office and she'll be able to address questions in the office when they come in person. She won't be necessarily doing all the inspections because we've got guest services who are helping out with those inspections. So in short, yes, Carla will have a ton of help to help her in her day-to-day activities. How we get there that's part of our onboarding process, our training process, and establish where Carla's specific skill set is, work out what her KPIs are. So yes, she'll be able to we'll be able to address that. So and then the second question is, can someone help Don, Adam and Carla with their job descriptions? Yeah, we're doing that next week. So they'll be meeting with my HR manager myself and the HR manager next week to go over what their responsibilities are at the moment. Now, you've got Carla, who will be a rental resource that we bear as a company, we bear the expense of. And then you've got the maintenance guys who, although they are employees of Gulf Coast, the association is bearing the cost of them. So it's not just Don and Adam saying these are our day-to-day responsibilities. We have to work with the board to develop these job descriptions so that the staff that the board are paying for are doing exactly what the board want them to do. So again, I don't anticipate there being any problems. All of the feedback we got about the staff has been stellar. We will do whatever we can to keep the staff. We just want to keep them, have an understanding of what they do on a day-to-day basis. I think it's good that people go to work understanding what they meant to be doing every single day rather than flying blind. What is your minimum rental contract duration? I don't know who wrote this. So C. Walsey. Do you mean if you could elaborate? Do you mean by a minimal rental contract with us or guests going to the property?
No, yeah, I meant with you guys. Like, do we sign a year agreement, or is it just kind of month to month, and we give you notice if we're not happy and we want to cancel? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So it's an evergreen contract. So you sign with us, it's an evergreen contract until either party terminates. And the only thing that we ask, and it's in the agreement, the only thing that we ask is that existing reservations are honored, because it's we just don't want this situation where guests, owners can sell a property and leave the guests high and dry, because it damages the vacation rental industry, it damages the reputation of us as a company, and damages the reputation of in this community. So all we ask is, it's that those existing bookings are honoured, and then depending on the circumstances, we would, in a similar fashion to how I anticipated working with Argus, we would work with the incoming owner or the incoming property management company on how those bookings are handled. So that's how we do that. And if Wendy and Ed ask, is there anything else rental homeowners should proactively do at this time? Not necessarily. I think some points have come out of it are the termination of Argus, the blocking the calendar in the meantime so that any road bookings can't go in there, and the signing a management agreement. Once that management agreement's signed, then it gives us the authority to speak to VRBO, speak to Airbnb. We can get those bookings. We can then kind of build your account out. We can then go and take photographs. The sooner we can start this process, the better. Again, I haven't got visibility yet on your calendars for the remainder of the year and the beginning of, and through season. If you're an owner and you've got gaps in your calendar, I would urge you to sign on as quickly as possible. I've got sales staff ready and eager to get working and start marketing the properties on Siesta Key. And the sooner we can do this, the better we're going to do for the remainder of the year and through season. So the other question is, if you encourage electronic locks, does it make sense for you to choose one or two that have had good experience with? Yeah, we use one. It's and again, this lock will always be yours. So we use one, and the account manager and the maintenance team will speak to you about the installation locks. Can you provide the existing owners renting with Argus with a template so we can? Yeah. If you guys feel that'd be beneficial, I can certainly create just a simple template that you guys can either copy and paste or send on. Okay. And then there's some questions about the association dues that we covered on Tuesday. And yeah, it's please, all of you, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that Real Manage are going to misappropriate your dues. I'm not suggesting that. But what we do know from our experience of taking over other associations from Real Manage is there's a long lag time in their accounting. And although owners have been paying the association through Real Manage, that money is taking a very long time to find its way back into the association coffers. Real Manage hold on to it for a long time, and they're going through some internal issues. So I know that Rod's said it been saying it now for a couple of weeks. We reiterated it on Tuesday, but please send your quarterly dues. If you haven't sent them, send them to the office or directly to Cheryl, so that the Cheryl can then bank those checks into the local bank, Truist Bank, that we've now set up for you guys. Go ahead, Rod.
Thank you for the unsolicited testimonial.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what will happen. That's what's going to happen with the dues. Please. How do you price units so they get equal look, so that one isn't always priced lower, so they always get the booking? Yeah, that's a great question, John. Not all units are the same, and the beauty of vacation rentals is also the challenge of vacation rentals. The people like going to vacation rentals because of the uniqueness of them, the owner's personality that's been imprinted on the unit, but that also makes it a challenge, because you may well have two units, they're both 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a garage, and one unit is decorated in a certain way and one unit's decorated in a different way. There's no right or wrong, but it may have an effect on the demand of that property. So the way we typically do it is they start out the same. Each unit starts out the same. However, if one unit just keeps booking and booking and booking, then we're likely to increase the rate on that individual property. Because just as these are individual management accounts, we're going to manage these units individually when it comes to revenue. If there's a question with an owner who says, look, the unit next door is exactly the same as mine, but he's getting the bookings and I'm not getting the bookings, then that's a question for, we'll dig into why. Why is that the case? Does your unit need sprucing up? Does your unit require this? It's, is the, are the amenities, different within? Can we get better appliances? I don't know. So these things are conversations that we expect our account managers to have with property owners, so that you can come with concerns and you can come with concerns, and we can give you what our data and what comments are saying. The property inspections that you'll get after every single the property inspections that you receive after every single booking, they're going to give you an indication of your property. The feedback and the reviews that we get from guests in your property, they're going to give you indications of how about your property and what people think about it. And we really listen to those and we share that feedback with you. So okay. So Trista says something very nice. She says, why don't I stand and run for president? And I don't think that's you, Rod. I don't think that's directed at you. I think she might be looking at a higher office, which is very complimentary, Krista. I appreciate that. Yes, I'm glad, Carla. We're here to help. Again, C. Walsey says, I don't believe I even know where to send an email to Argus. Does anyone have the info? So I will put in the follow-up to this webinar. I'll put in that the email address for the contacts that you need to send things to. So you'll have everything. I'll include a template in terms of the cancellation, so you can just kind of fill in the blanks and send that email over to whoever you need to do at Argus. But I think, unless I'm missing anything, I think I've covered. Oh no, there's some more. Okay. Okay. So sure. The cleaning. We work with a bank of cleaners, and we're always looking for cleaners. If you guys good experience with your cleaning crew, then we will definitely be keeping your cleaning crew. It's cleanliness of these units is probably the number one factor when people arrive at a property, and working with them, working with the with cleaners is important. We have a housekeeping executive. She will work on expectations, but it's funny. So Holly is asking about the cleaning company, saying they're great, and then we have Kathy saying the current cleaning company is not good. But I think that goes to show sometimes people's views on kind of services and reviews, and it just highlights it perfectly. We have so one thing we've learned over our years with cleaning companies is instilling consistency in the cleaning companies is paramount. So what we do is we meet with the cleaning companies on site. We go through the units and we lay out what our expectations are, and our inspection templates mirror those cleaning expectations, so that when the cleaner goes, they understand what our expectations are, and when the property is inspected after the clean, it's compared to what those expectations are. If they're not met, then the cleaning company comes back, and it's on their dime that they come back and clean the property. So we take cleaning very seriously but we welcome additional cleaning vendors, and if they can all get on the same page with us and meet those expectations, we're happy to keep the cleaning, whatever cleaning companies there are, and probably more than one for your community. So and then John says, so who ultimately controls the rate? So I think it's the last question. So we, like I mentioned previously, you can have the opportunity to put a base rate in, one that you won't go below. The difficulty with this in our world is, if, for instance, you as a property owner says, my bottom rate, I will not go below $150. That's your prerogative, it's your unit. But if a booking came in at 149, would you take that booking? And the answer is probably yes, you would. So it's really difficult putting a baseline number in. So ultimately, we're in control in terms of setting the rates, but you as a property owner have the ability to put like a bottom that will never go below. Part of what we do, we have, and this is where the account manager responsibilities come in, your activity on your property is reviewed all the time. We're not going to be asking you about bookings, but we can look at the performance, and we can look at look at the performance of the property. We can look at the forecast, and we can adjust accordingly. And you can say, and that's the kind of conversation you're going to have with Carla. Carla then would work with our revenue management team to make those necessary adjustments. So one thing we know is the rates aren't static. They're always moving in accordance with market forces. But of course, there is a bottom line to everything, and we won't go into that bottom line without your permission. And then Kathy says, I've got Dave saying, will the minimum stay of 7 days remain, or will you rent it by the night? Rod, I think, hopefully correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the community docs say that it's a seven night minimum, and so that's what they'll be staying on. Anyway, we could offer additional meeting options after work hours, like 5 p.m. KO, Kathy, do you mean for these kind of webinars? Is that what you're referring to? Meeting after hours. Yeah, and then I think Krista asked, Carla and Mary are always good to reach out if there are special requests from guests. Yeah, if there's special requests from guests and it's outside of the norm, then or it's a longer stay, special circumstances, absolutely. The revenue team, sales team, Carla, they'll be in conversations with you saying this opportunity presented itself. Is what do you think, or these circumstances happened, what do you think about that? They'll definitely be able to talk to you about things outside of the box. So okay guys, my throat is dry. I really appreciate you guys joining. It's awesome to see so many invested people. We do these webinars with the communities and owners, and we put a lot of time into doing it, and then we perhaps have a 10% engagement. And I know it's emotive, and I know why you guys are on, but to have kind of 30% of you joining is really encouraging. We'll send a recording out, and this won't be the last one we do. We'll be doing another one in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, just to keep you guys up to speed on where we're at. Communication's key, and I really look forward to a long and rewarding relationship with you all. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rod. I appreciate and I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.